Hi, I hope you guys are keeping well. Today we are on page number 63 of your book, and we are doing a new chapter. This is the last chapter we are doing on this book for a while. Before I think we have done a fair amount of portion in this book, and from tomorrow we'll go to the supplementary portion. So page number 63, The 100 Dresses by Eleanor Estes. So, before we read the chapter, the author has given us a couple of questions so that in order to understand the plot of the story, how do we judge the people around us? By their money, by their wealth and possessions? Or is there something of more enduring value to look for in a person? You know, when you're looking at someone, the first thing that impresses you is the physical appearance. You know, people are impressed by clothes, by gadgets, by things like that. You know, I think it's human psychology. Or are you do you get impressed when someone gets out of an expensive car? Do you get impressed when someone has a very big house? You know, things like that. So, or would you do you wait and look for that for the person within, do you want to know that person and understand that person and his mentality before, what would you prefer? The story is a sensitive account of how a poor young girl is judged by her classmates. You know, the story is about human emotions, about how people are discriminated, and how people are um, ill-treated because of your economic condition, your family background, and things like that. Wanda Petronsky is a young Polish girl who goes to school with other American children in an American town. So we understand that she is an immigrant. She is not in Poland. She's a Polish. She's from Poland, and maybe she lives in America, maybe for so many reasons, but that we'll come to know later. So these other children see Wanda as different in many ways. So she doesn't gel with all the other American children. She looks very different. So can you guess why? How? We'll come to know that. Read the information in the box below. Find out more about this community or about a related topic from internet or encyclopedia. How do you people? But there's always a region-based discrimination. Like how you have a gender-biased discrimination. In the same way, one of the major things that immigrants and people who move to other countries, that they or other regions within their country they face, is regional discrimination. The Polish American community in the United States. The first Polish immigrants means when you move from your country, your birth country to a new country, you adapt a new country for so many reasons. It can be for better prospects. You want to earn more, you want a better life for yourself and your family. It can be for political reasons where you're forced to leave. It can be because of a war. It can be because of a medical reason. So many reasons. Arrived in America in 1608. That's quite a bit. But the largest wave of Polish immigration occurred in the early 20th century, when more than 1 million Poles migrated to the United States. So Poland is not a very promising country as far compared to United States. So as every Indian looks up to go to United States, in the same way there are so many underdeveloped countries who also want to be part of that race and to go and live in the United States for better life. So maybe in that course, due to other reasons also, so many people migrated to America. The Polish state did not exist at that. There was not a different states where all the people from Poland used to live. And the immigrants were identified according to their country of origin rather than to their ethnicity. So everyone, like how people coming from who migrated or immigrated, or whose forefathers were brought to United States of America during the slave trade. You must have read that in history. But and they settled there, and the future generations were, they never saw Africa, except for the fact that their forefathers belonged to South Africa, sorry, or to Africa. Mm, but even till they, they are mentioned as African Americans, and sometimes they are referred with derogatory comments also, derogatory words also, where they are mentioned. So there's always a discrimination. There's always a difference of opinion about people coming from other areas. So so one of the most notable, so they were identified as Russian Poles, German Poles, Austrian Poles. So people coming from different regions were identified like that. One of the most notable Polish American communities is in Chicago and its suburbs, nearby places. So Chicago is sometimes called the second largest Polish city in the world. You have so many people from Poland there. Next only to Warsaw, which is the capital of Poland. Polish Americans were sometimes discriminated against in the United States, as were the Irish, people come from Ireland or Italy, or Jews. So according to the United States 2000 census is when you do a calculation about the population and the gender and things like that, classification. 6,67,414 Americans of age 5 years and older reported Polish as the language spoken at home. So, which means that these Americans had a Polish origin. Maybe their forefathers came from Poland, so the language and the culture remained, although they are American citizens now, which is about 1.4% of the people who speak languages other than English, or 0.25% of the US population, which is quite a bit. So today, Monday, okay, sorry. So then now we'll come to the story. Today, Monday, Wanda Petronsky was not in her seat. When she Monday was a working day in the school, and but she was not found in the regular place where she used to sit. But nobody, not even Peggy and Madeline, the girls who started all the fun, noticed her absence. These two classmates of Wanda Petronsky, Peggy and Madeline, maybe they used to act a little funny, and maybe they used to make fun of Wanda, so they were also not interested in Wanda today. Usually Wanda sat in the seat next to the last seat in the last row in room 13, so this is the description about where she used to sit in the last row. She was a backbencher. She sat in the corner of the room, where the rough boys who did not make good marks sat. There's always a preconceived notion that children who sit at the back are children who people who are not interested in studies, or you want to do some funny or naughty things in the class, and so her character signifies that she was not a very bold and outgoing girl, so she was very happy to sit in the back, and she used to sit with those boys who were not very good in studies. The corner of the room where there was most scuffling of feet. Scuffling means when you're making a lot of noise with your feet. Either you're kicking people, children, your classmates or your neighbors, people who are sitting next to you, or you're dragging your shoes, in different movements. And most roars of laughter, and that is the last bench where most of the children are always laughing, and they're disturbing the class. When anything funny was said, and most mud and dirt on the class, and the dirtiest section of the class. And she used to sit there. So we come to know she was a shy girl. Wanda did not sit there because she was rough and noisy. She was not sitting at the end, at the back of the class, in the last bench of the class, because she was very naughty and very disturbing. On the contrary, she was very quiet and rarely said anything. She was very quiet. She hardly used to talk. Maybe for Wanda also this was a culture shock because she came from a different community, she came from a different background, she came from a completely different country. The language did not match. She was struggling with the language. There could be so many reasons. So it's almost like how would you react if your parents just pick you up and put you in a school in Kerala or Coimbatore, and you find all the people talking in Tamil, and then so you are an odd one out, so something like that. So and nobody had ever heard her laugh out loud. Nobody heard her laughing. She was so quiet. Sometimes she twisted her mouth in a crooked sort of smile, but that was all. Sometimes when something happened in the class, she just used to stand like this. Crooked means bend, so one part of the mouth we used to move to the other, to in the same direction, like something like this, which mentioned that which showed that she's trying to smile. So nobody knew exactly why Wanda sit in that seat. Very clearly we can understand that she did not have friends at all in that class, and nobody bothered to ask her, why are you sitting here with the naughty boys, unless it was because she came all the way from Bogan Heights and her feet were usually caked with dry mud. As small children, somehow, even though we don't tend to put these kind of things, materialistic tags, I should say, in their mind, but the mindset of today's society has become such that in any of the ways, this thing, it's an input. It has been fed into our brains that someone that this person has to be good because he comes in an expensive car, something like that. And why people were not interested and used to make fun, because she used to come from Bogan Heights, which is a slum area in Chicago, and in the United States in that time, and why slum is because most of the blue collar families, the labor class families and immigrants, they used to live there. So it was not a very happening part of the city, the town. And because the economic condition of the people was not very good, so that is why the locality was also very well maintained. So every day when Wanda used to come to school, her shoes used to be all soaked and full with mud. Caked means there was a lot of mud on her shoes. But no one really thought much about Wanda Petronsky once she sat in the corner of the room. Nobody wanted to talk to her or interact. So every day she used to come and she used to sit, and nobody wanted to bother to even interact or talk to her. The time when they thought about Wanda was outside of school hours. When they used to think about Wanda was just before or after school. At noon time when they were coming back to school, or in the morning early before school began, when groups of 2 or 3 or even more would be talking and laughing on their way to the schoolyard. They used to make fun of Wanda before school, in the lunch break or after the school. And then sometimes they waited for Wanda to have fun with her. They used to make fun of her when she used to come. The next day, Tuesday, Wanda was not in school either. She did not come on Monday. She did not come on Tuesday also. And nobody noticed her absence. And nobody realized that Wanda has not come to school for 2 days. But on Wednesday, Peggy and Maddie, who sat down front with other children who got good marks. Peggy and Maggie are Wanda's classmates who used to sit in the front row with intelligent, with studious children, and who did not track in a whole lot of mud. Again, so this is the social segregation. Peggy and Maggie used to sit with rich people who used to come with polished shoes and good neat and tidy clothes. Did notice that Wanda wasn't there, and then he realized that Wanda hasn't come to school. She hasn't been coming to school for the past 3 days. Peggy was the most popular in school. There are some people who are very popular, famous. She was pretty, She had many pretty clothes and her hair was curly. Maybe her father was rich, so that is why. Maddie was her closest friend and Maddie was her best friend. The reason Peggy and Maddie noticed Wanda's absence was because Wanda had made them late to school. You know, the reason why they mentioned that Wanda has not come is because Peggy and Maddie came late to school because of Wanda. They had waited and waited for Wanda to have some fun with her, and she had not come. They often waited for Wanda Petrovsky to have fun with her. So maybe they were waiting outside the school or at the bus stand to make fun of Wanda, but Wanda never came, and in that process they got late. So these are the questions. I think you should continue writing the questions so that it becomes easier for you, and we'll mention that later. So now, Wanda Petrovsky. Most of the children in room 13 do not have names like that. It's almost like mentioning a different name. So I think I should just give my example because I grew up in Kashmir. I was raised in Kashmir, starting from kindergarten. So we had a different society there. Nobody looked like me, and everyone had different names. We had Shazia Khan, Suzia Khan. We had Bhavna, Razdan, Anjurana, Shailja, something like that. Very, very, very common and very beautiful names, I should say. And I was the only one odd who used to look different. Of course, I was never bullied for my identity and my looks, but my name always used to be different. My name was Tabitha, and my maiden name before I got married was Chamskong. So so in that process, when you have a sequence of rhyming names, I should say, when all the names used to sound so different, suddenly you have a Tabitha in between, So and I used to find it very odd, So every time I remember as a young child, I used to go back home and sit and argue with my grandmother, as in why can't my name be something like Shazia or something like that, So the same thing was happening here, Her name was very different, and children started bullying her, or making fun of her, I should say. So they had names easy to say. This is what I'm trying to say. Like Thomas, Smith, Alan. There was one boy called Bounce, Willie Bounce, and people thought that was funny, but not funny in the same way as Petrovsky was. So she had a very heavy name, I should say. Maybe not that it was very, very odd, but that's how maybe her family name was. Wanda did not have any friends in the school or in the class, which is very, very sad. She came to school alone and went back alone. Can you just imagine that? And she always wore a faded blue dress that did not hang right. So every day she used to come in one blue dress which was faded. Faded means, when the color or the dye of your dress goes off, it becomes lighter due to constant washing or due to exposure to sun or other reasons also. So it had become it had faded and it had become very dull. And every day she used to come in the same dress. And it looked very loose. It looked as if it did not belong to her, It was clean, but it looked as though it had never been ironed properly. You iron your clothes with a hot press. So it looked as if although it was clean. So she was not as presentable as Maddie and other children in the class. She did not have any friends, but a lot of girls talked to her. Everyone wanted to talk to her, not because they wanted to be friends, but to make fun. Sometimes they surrounded her in the schoolyard. They used to all come around her in a circle, and as she stood watching the little girls play hopscotch on the worn hard ground, and they used to play on the ground, when you make those squares and then you jump in that with a piece of a stone. Wanda, Peggy would say in a most courteous manner, as though she was talking to Miss Mason, her class teacher. Wanda, she would say, giving one of her friends a nudge. Nudge means when you're trying to elbow someone. This is indication that see what is happening. How many dresses did you say you had hanging up in your closet? They're making fun of her physical appearance. They're making fun of her dress. She's like, how many dresses did you say you had in your cupboard? 100, Wanda would say. And 100 said, I have 100 dresses. So 100, again, if you see, there's an exclamation mark on the word 100, right? Because it is just to show an expression that how can she have 100 dresses when she's wearing one dull, faded dress every single day. Exclaimed all the little girls incredulously. Incredulously means showing unwillingness to believe. When you can't believe that she really has 100 dresses. And the little ones would stop playing hopscotch and listen. Wow, she has 100 dresses? And small children were so interested about her dresses. Yeah, 100 all lined up, said Wanda. Then her thin lips drew together in silence, and then she used to become quiet again. What are they like? All silk, I bet, said Peggy. She's like, do you all, have these dresses in silk? Yeah, all silk, all colors. Velvet too? Yeah, velvet too. 100 dresses. Wanda would repeat storily, not showing any emotion. And all lined up in my closet. And then they would let her go. And then before she had gone far, they could not help bursting into squeaks and peals of laughter. And they used to laugh at her when she used to go. 100 dresses? Obviously, the only dress Wanda had was the blue one she wore every single day. So why did she say she had 100? What a story, and everybody used to think that she's lying. How many shoes did you say you had? 60 pairs, all lined up in my closet, Wanda replied. Cries of exaggerated politeness greeted all alike. Do you have all same? Which means Wanda used to come in one same shoe every day. Oh no, every pair is different, all colors, all lined up, when Wanda used to say. Wanda used to answer. So we'll just do till here, and then we'll continue tomorrow. And now we'll come to the assignments.